Iran's security chief Ali Larijani has said that the U.S. and Israel were seeking to break the Islamic Republic apart. In a pre-recorded interview broadcast on state TV, he asserted that Iranian leaders were united in fighting both U.S. and Israel. Larijani said that the U.S. was seeking to replicate in Iran a scenario similar to Venezuela, where interim President Delcy Rodriguez cooperated with Washington under the threat of violence after Nicolas Maduro's ouster. Larijani further went on to say that he believes the Americans do not understand the context of West Asia, especially Iran.
Trump does not understand that Iranians may have differences among themselves, but they are still Iranian, and they stand with Iran. The idea of breaking Iran apart will not gain their cooperation. And besides that, they have seen your history of interventions in the region.
Larijani insisted that there were no divisions among the leadership in Tehran over the war with U.S. and Israel. He spoke after President Masoud Pezeshkian apologized to neighboring countries for Iranian attacks.
Our leaders are united on this issue and have no disagreements with one another. We have no divisions among ourselves in fighting Israel and the United States.
Larijani's remarks come at a crucial point as the Islamic Republic remains without a leader after the killing of Ali Khamenei. Larijani added that the three-member leadership council overseeing Iran had requested the arrangements be made to convene the Assembly of Experts, but did not reveal any deadline.
Our Leadership Council has announced that the necessary arrangements should be made by the security forces so that the Assembly of Experts can convene under appropriate conditions and make its selection for the next Supreme Leader.
Earlier, Larijani had put out social media posts claiming the capture of a number of American troops. He said that the U.S. was lying and claiming that the soldiers were killed instead of taken prisoner. However, Washington has denied the claim. Larijani made this post after U.S. President Donald Trump attended a ceremony for the transfer of the 6 American soldiers killed in Kuwait. And to discuss the situation, we were earlier joined by James A. Russell, Associate Professor in the Department of National Security Affairs at NPS. Now, here's what he had to say. Let's listen in.
Well, Americans, I think, are quite rightly extremely confused and frightened by what they see going on with the American military being brought into action essentially at the request of a third country, the Israelis, to attack a country that presented no threat to the United States and Iran. So I worked in the Pentagon for many, many years and participated in a wide variety of different war games. And in war games in the Gulf involving Iran, the first thing that always happened was they closed the Strait of Hormuz, which, of course, has serious second-order consequences around the world for world economies, as the Qatari energy minister reminded us. And the Trump administration appears not to have planned for this. In other words, again, it just fits with this sort of confused, scattered approach in which they apparently had no idea of the steps that Iran would likely take in the event of hostilities. And it's clear that Iran is fighting the war at the strategic level, and they're prepared to exert pressure across the international system, which they can do with the closure of the strait and the effect on world energy prices. And in the United States today, there's an affordability crisis, by which I mean a general sort of increase in the cost of living across the board, which, of course, President Trump denies. But it's true. And so this all adds up to, again, as the war continues, Iran has signaled that it's not giving up. We can only expect that these negative consequences are going to continue to multiply and are going to continue to induce increasingly desperate actions by both the United States and the Israelis.
Iran has vowed not to surrender and said that it was prepared to continue the war for at least 6 months. And that was in response to President Trump's suggestion that the U.S. would hit Iran hard and also attack regions and individuals that were not previously considered targets. Trump's remarks on social media came after President of Iran, Masoud Pezeshkian, vowed that the country will not retreat from its missile attacks on Israel and the Gulf nations that are hosting American soldiers. But the shadow of political uncertainty still looms large over Tehran. Earlier, Iran had also said that there would be no peace in the region as long as U.S. bases remain in West Asia. But what is the Iran endgame for the U.S. and Israel? Well, a week into the war, it seems like the plan would cut off Iran's leadership, destroy its military ability, and prevent it from rearming and regrouping. But the full picture is still unclear. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz warned that the U.S. and Israel not to start an endless war that could destroy Iran. And Merz said that this could lead to a new migration crisis in Europe and lasting economic damage. Analysts bet the rise of a political military nationalist alliance is more likely in the near future. While Trump may want to select a leader he can negotiate with, it will be challenging to find someone acceptable to Iranians, other nations, and global powers. Whoever takes it over in Tehran, the leadership will have to mend fences with their Gulf neighbors. Saudi Arabia may secretly want outcomes that make it harder for Iran to be able to attack the Gulf area again. Concerns have grown in Turkey after Iranian ballistic missile was detected in Turkish airspace by NATO air defenses. That brings a crucial NATO member closer to the fight. Despite Iran's policy of targeting Gulf countries, Turkey maintains its emphasis on diplomacy even as it warned Iran to be careful. That criticism is only likely to increase in the coming days. Even faced with an unprecedented convergence of external pressure and internal strain, Iran is fighting back hard. The country has vowed to retaliate in a proportionate manner, but Iran said it was not ready for a long war, suggesting a more calibrated approach to their retaliatory action.